I get so many comments, DMs, emails, all from moms telling me one thing, that they want to start homeschooling, but they have no idea how to get started. So if that is you and you're in Texas, then today this video is going to break down for you exactly what you need to get started on your homeschooling journey. It's time for some girl talk. Welcome back to my channel. I am Sheree Lanette. I am a homeschool mom. I've been homeschooling my kids for 8 years now, and I help new homeschool moms get started on their homeschool journeys. Now, of course, I have to put a disclaimer on here. I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. I am just sharing with you all of the information that I got off of the HSLDA website and just from my personal experience homeschooling to help you get started on your homeschool journey. So step number one is just researching your legal requirements. And this is so simple, so easy. You can go to hslda.org and all you have to do is look up the state of Texas and it breaks down for you exactly what's required. Now, the good thing is Texas is a really lenient homeschool state. It is so easy to homeschool here, in part because your homeschool is considered a private school here. So here's the main things that you need to know. One, you do not have to give letter of intent to homeschool. That means once you decide to homeschool your child, you don't have to send a letter to the school district or to the state or to anybody saying, hey, I'm going to start homeschooling my child. Now, if your child is currently enrolled in school and you want to withdraw them from school and homeschool them, then yes, you should do that. You need to let the school know that you will be withdrawing your child either to homeschool, or you can say put them in a private school. That's your choice. But you do want to at least give the school some type of notice of like why your kid just disappeared from class before you go ahead and start homeschooling. Next, what you need to know is there is no state testing. So there's no STAR test for homeschool. There's no one who's going to come in and test your kids. Any test that they receive is at your discretion and what you decide is a part of your curriculum. Now, you do have subjects that you are required to teach. These are math, reading, spelling, grammar, and a course on good citizenship. Now, that doesn't mean that these are the only subjects that you have to teach. If you still want to teach history and science, of course you can. I do. But legally, these are the only ones that are required of you. Now, with me saying that, they also want you to use a bona fide curriculum. They want you to use an actual curriculum. This could be a curriculum that you make yourself. This can be an online curriculum. This could be a curriculum you buy. It just has to be something where it's not like, I'm just going off the top of my head. Usually when I tell moms that, this is what's required, a bona fide curriculum, they start to panic. Like, is this the right curriculum? Is this right? It really is just use a curriculum, just any curriculum you want. As long as it includes the subjects that you're supposed to, that's all that's required of you. I have yet to meet a mom who's had anybody intervene or question anything they're doing for homeschooling. All I'm doing is telling you what is legally required of you in any situation or case where something does come up and they ask for any proof of what you're doing. This is what you're supposed to be doing. Since you are a private school, you are responsible for doing report cards, transcripts, issuing their high school diploma. All of that is on you. Now, personally, it's a choice. Right now, my kids in elementary school, we didn't do grades. I didn't do report cards. I didn't want them worried about that. I wanted them worried about doing like their best. Of course, as they get older, when they're getting closer to high school, then we're introducing grades. And then it's up to me to make their transcripts. Now, you can get transcripts from a homeschool association. You can get transcripts from anywhere. I'm sure Etsy has transcripts. It's just something that you just need a form and you can fill in. Once you feel like your child has completed their curriculum and they are ready to graduate, then you issue them their diploma and you graduate them. And I know a lot of moms have a hard time wrapping their mind around this, that yes, you are responsible for issuing their diploma once they complete their curriculum. But it's no different if they were in school. Once you complete the required courses, then you are ready to graduate. It is completely possible to finish your coursework early, or it could be later. It's just whatever's at the best pace for your child. So that was step one. We understand what's legally required of us with our homeschool laws, what we can and can't do. Now that we know that, now we can start looking at the fun stuff and say, okay, what do we want our homeschool style to be? Like, how do we want this experience to be for our family? And I want you to give yourself permission to think outside the box, because it does not have to fit into the typical structure of everything else. If you've seen any of my previous videos, you know I've talked about you can homeschool in the evenings, you can homeschool on the weekends. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's literally about what's best for your family. So when I say homeschool style, do you want where you're teaching your kids? I love teaching. I have a teacher heart, so I love actually being upstairs with my kids, teaching them. But that's not for everybody. Do you want where they're like, get up in the morning and they're more self-sufficient, they get on their computers, they get their work done? Do you want to be road schoolers where you guys just jump in the van and you're traveling around learning together? Once you figure out exactly what you want your style to be, do you want a classroom? What do you want it to be like? It helps you on the next step, which is going to be picking your curriculum. Now, picking a curriculum is a whole video in itself, which I will be shooting next week. So make sure to subscribe so you can watch that one, where I break down for you exactly how to choose the homeschool curriculum that's best for your family. But knowing your homeschool style is just step one. Because for instance, if I know I want to be a road schooler, I may not want to order something with a whole bunch of books. I may want to be able to access the internet, so I know I want an online program, or vice versa. I may not want to have to worry about, oh my gosh, we don't get internet or whatever. So I want to make sure I'm using like a book-based program. It's just the beginning part that's going to give you a sense of like, okay, what curriculum should I be looking for? Right, so now we have decided to homeschool. We have learned our homeschool laws. We have selected our curriculum. And now I either get to just start homeschooling, or I need to go withdraw my child from school so we can start homeschooling. Now, a question I do get a lot is, when is the best time to withdraw your child? And honestly, that is a personal preference. There's not one time I can say is the best. So I've had situations where some moms are like, they want to wait until the next school year, or they want to wait until the next semester to kind of have like a clean break and a fresh start. But then I've had some situations with moms where their child is maybe in a bullying situation and it's very urgent, or they have a child with special needs and their needs just aren't being met. And so they're like, no, we got to get out now. It's literally what's best for you and your kiddos. Now that you're homeschooling, here's the biggest thing that I need to tell you. Give yourself grace. Give you and your kids grace, because this is going to be an adjustment period. And during this time, you're going to learn a lot about your children, and you're going to learn a lot about yourself. For example, if your kids haven't really listened to you at home when you're just mom, they're not going to miraculously start listening to you because you're their teacher now. Like, that's not going to transfer over. A lot of kids have a hard time with the transition from a very routine schedule with school, trying to transition into homeschool. Some kids maybe didn't want to homeschool and you feel like it's best. And even some kids who did want to homeschool may sometimes, like, it's a different vibe. It's a different experience that they have to get used to. You really do want to make sure that you're giving yourself grace and giving y'all time to adjust, because you're figuring it out. It's your first year. Just be okay with figuring it out. You may have picked a curriculum and you think it's amazing, and then once y'all get into it, you're like, I hate this. I can't tell y'all how many times I've done that. Over the past 8 years, I have changed our curriculum multiple times. I used to make our curriculum from scratch. I have changed our routine. We homeschool year round now. I have played with that. How many days we homeschool, doing subjects on certain. I have tried so many things. So just know, if things just aren't perfect, if it doesn't feel like everything's just flowing right away, it's not supposed to. It's gonna take time, and that's okay. I do suggest if you do have a child who's you withdrawn from school, try to keep some structure for them at first and then slowly change and like try to move it more into what fits you guys. But this is one of the most important steps in all of this is just remember it's new. It takes time. Give yourself grace. And finally, the last step is just to remember that you are your child's first and forever teacher. You were already their teacher. You have been homeschooling them since the day you brought them home from the hospital. I know we always equate school to subjects, but the purpose of an education is for our children to grow up and to be healthy and happy and productive and kind adults in the world. It's not just about the subjects. So you have been teaching them this ever since they were little. Those first 4, 5, 6, how many ever years before that, your kids weren't just not being taught anything. It's not like that was the day they started learning. You've been teaching them everything. So please don't forget that just because you added some subjects that you've been their teacher. This isn't new for you. The subjects are new, but teaching isn't new. This is what you do. This is what parents do. We teach our kids nonstop. Even if they're in school, we're still teachers at home. You are forever their teacher. I noticed that the lack of supervision, I guess, here in Texas scares a lot of moms. They're just like, so nobody's checking on me? And well, I don't have to report grades? Like, well, how will people know? And I remind them all the time, when you had your baby and you brought your baby home, nobody came to check on you. Nobody was saying, Sheree, are you feeding that baby? Are you changing that baby's diapers? Nobody made sure that my baby was taken care of. It was my responsibility as my baby's mom to take care of them. And this is no different. You do not need anybody to come in and look over your shoulder and say, are you doing your schoolwork? Are they doing this? You don't need that. You decided to homeschool because you felt like it was best for your child. This path would be a better advantage to them for whatever reason than the other paths. Trust that. So don't worry about the lack of people policing you or looking over you. That is a blessing because it lets you flourish in your motherhood and create the environment that 100% works for you and your babies. So if you have any questions about homeschooling in Texas or anything that I didn't cover or you would like for me to go more in depth about, please let me know in the comments. And again, next week I will be breaking down exactly how to pick the curriculum that's best for you and your kiddos. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week.